And we're live. Hey everyone, I'm Marco. I'm one of the code mentors here at the Firehose Project, and I'll run you guys through the info session today. So let's see, what do we want to cover today? What do we want to go through? So first of all, I want to run you guys through our core curriculum, talk a little bit about the program, what do we cover, what kind of web applications we're building, what happens when we customize the curriculum. So we specialize to its entrepreneurship track, a career seeker track, group projects, what happens in all of that. Talk a little bit about our support system, the one-on-one mentorship sessions, our Q&A forum, our office hours, and also our agile team meetings that we're having with the group project. And then obviously I want to answer one of these questions that I get a lot, which is like, what can I really get out of it? Like, what kind of skills do I have at the end of the program? So let's jump straight in. Let's go through the core curriculum, right? So we're looking at a 15-week-long program. First 2 weeks is our Firehose intro, where we work with you through the core fundamentals that you need to know, like Ruby, HTML, CSS. That's free right now. You can go to theFirehoseProject.com, click on the Get Started at the top of the page, and apply for it. And actually, if you spend some time going through the application and give us some good details, we can give you a spot in the program a lot faster in the Firehose pre-work. And then we review your code in there, and depending on how well you do, we accept you into the full program. So that the full program, the Firehose core, that will be the full 13 weeks. It's where you have the mentorship session, office hours, all of the good stuff. So apply for the Firehose intro, for the pre-work, work through that, work on your coding fundamentals, and then we have you guys into the core program. We accept you into the core program. Now let's go in. What happens in that 13 weeks? So I think the first thing we're going to do is we want you guys to build a web application and launch and put it live on the internet within about 10 hours, right? That's the first thing we do. The web application that we're building is pretty straightforward and simple. We want to take a user and have them put a quote into a form, put that in a database, and show it randomly on a page, right? It's not a complicated web application, but it gives you a 360-degree view over everything that we're doing. So you're touching the Rails framework, you're writing Ruby code, using a Postgres database, using Git for version control, GitHub to share your code with the mentors, and you're going to use Heroku as a server to push your web application live on the internet, right? So that takes about 10 hours. And we're moving on to the next web application, which is a Yelp clone. So that's a lot more complicated. It usually takes our students between, let's say, 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks. And I think the most important feature out of the Yelp clone is the integration with the Google Map API. So that means we are taking an address, putting it in a form, storing it in a database, and then writing a Ruby code to translate that address into latitude and longitude coordinates, and then passing that back to the Google Map API, so we're getting the pin on the map. Now, obviously that wouldn't be a fully functional web application, so we need to add on top of that. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to have star ratings, right? We also want to have user comments. And obviously, I'd like to have automated email notifications, so-called transactional emails. Like if somebody comments or rates my place, my pizza place, my t-shirt shop, whatever I put on the Yelp clone, I want to get an automated email saying like, hey, somebody just gave you a rating, somebody just left a comment. You want to check back into the application and see what happened and then engage, right? And that's driving traffic back to that application. So we do that by integrating with another API, the SendGrid API, so we can send those automated emails, those automated email notifications. So next is we want to do a little bit more. So obviously you need to have user login, logout, user registration, so we learn how to do that. And then we also build a user dashboard where we put some standard analytics so anyone who is actually an owner of a restaurant can see what's the average star ratings, how many comments they receive, how many places do they have in their application. As I said, that takes about 2 to 4 weeks, most of our students to complete. We obviously pack all of that into a mobile-first design, so it looks good on tablet, desktop, laptop, and your mobile phone, right? And the goal is always like when you pull out your phone at a party and you build any of the applications with us, and you share with your friends, right? Their response should be like, oh wow, you did this? That looks awesome. That's what we're always shooting for, so our applications look solid on all devices. Next up, we're going to do test-driven development with you. And test-driven development is the industry standard of how to do automated software testing to make sure none of our features, nothing is ever broken and everything is working at every given time. So that is, again, writing automated software tests to make sure that all the features are working. So we're testing stuff automatically, so we don't have to click and point and test if things are working. So that means test-driven development is putting it on its, flipping it around, putting it on its head, where we first write software tests and then build the features and then make sure that everything's working. It's a little bit of a change in mindset on how to do that and how to write programs and web applications that way, but it's the industry standard, and you better know how to do it, especially if you're looking for a job. And if you're an entrepreneur, it makes a lot of sense knowing how to do that as well, because you want to make sure your application is running all the time, there's no broken features on it. So next up, it usually takes about 2 weeks to go through. We're building a two-sided marketplace, or Udemy, an online education platform, right? And when I say two-sided marketplace or platform, we already guessed that there's multiple user roles happening here. So in our case, we have instructors on one side and we have students on the other side. Students can go and purchase video lessons about whatever content the instructors choose to do and watch that, consume that content, right? So that already goes really deep into database relationships, where we actually need to specify which student purchased which course and which lessons can they watch, which ones can they not watch, right? And doing that is really powerful, because those database relationships are what powers most modern web applications, right? If you're thinking about like Facebook, you're liking a picture, so somebody posted that picture. What kind of notification does that person who posted a picture get? What if somebody comments, right? These are database relationships. Tracking all these interactions of users on a database level is really important. And we're doing that exactly when we build a two-sided marketplace, figuring out which student purchased what. Obviously, when I say purchase, right, we need to accept credit cards and payments on our application. So what we're doing is we integrate with the Stripe API, so you can actually accept payments, credit cards, debit cards on your own application and process those, and then realize how you manage the money flowing through the platform and making sure there's a cut for you as a platform owner and the instructor who built and supplied the content for the course. And there's another lesson that we have where we introduce you to JavaScript at the moment when it makes sense to you. So what we want to build is a simple drag and drop interface to improve the user experience for our instructors. So rather than them manually resorting all the individual lessons blocks or individual course blocks, we build a drag and drop interface where you can drag and drop on the page without refreshing the page. We do an AJAX request, so that works automatically without reloading the page. And that, in turn, that improvement of our user interface, right, improves the user experience for the instructor. And you learn JavaScript, AJAX request, and jQuery at that moment as well. And rather than just talking about it, we're actually building something that improves the user experience on our application. Now, that's usually about the first 8 weeks of our core program of the 13 weeks. Now, what we also do is during those times, we run you through several algorithmic challenges where you really learn how to write good Ruby code and solve complex problems and challenges with code, right? If you're a career seeker, those skills are fundamentally important, really crucial to landing a job. And they're also important for the entrepreneurs, because if you want to build anything advanced, you need to know how to write algorithms, because today the world is powered by algorithms, and knowing how to do that is really, really important. Now, what happens after 8 weeks, right? We kind of split our curriculum off into 2 tracks. There's the entrepreneur track, people who want to build and launch their own web application ideas, and there's people who want to land a job as a junior web developer, right? Let's talk about people who want to land a job as a junior web developer first. For you guys, we put you on a group project where we built a chess game together as a team, right? So, first of all, why are we doing that group project? Why we're putting such a big emphasis on it? It's because in the real world, the best software is built by amazing teams. And you guys knowing how to work as a team and actually using all the tools the way they're used in the real world when working as a team is crucial, right? Hiring managers want somebody who has an impact on day one. You want to be that employee who has an impact on day one. And being that employee is knowing how to work on a team and having that impact and knowing all the tools and how that whole process works, right? The second thing is we're building something pretty advanced, building a chess game, right, as a web application. So a lot of people say, come on, chess game, isn't that difficult? But what's important is that it actually impresses senior web developers, the people that are hiring you, a lot when they hear that, right? And then when they see the code, they're even more impressed. And that is because it is technically really hard to implement. Just think about all the figures on the field and how we're keeping track on a database level, how we're moving them around. Now, how we're implementing the algorithm to detect checkmate or the castling move, right? How do we do that? And that is really advanced programming that you're going to do on a team. And not only do you learn how to work together as a team, but you're building something that is much more advanced than all these regular standard web applications like a Yelp clone or the Udemy clone, a two-sided marketplace. They're pretty simple to build. Chess game, that's a whole nother level, and that's really challenging to do. And that's why we're doing it, because that's what impresses the hiring managers, and that's what getting our students a lot of jobs. Knowing how to work as a team, and building an advanced web application while using the industry standards like what I said before, test-driven development, use it extensively in the group project. Now, for you guys, the entrepreneurs, right, who have an idea and you guys really want to have that idea launched and have your own web application live, right? We take the last 4 weeks and we take your idea and we wireframe it out. That means we draw every individual screen of your application out. We figure out the user flow. And then together with your mentor, you'll work through that and break it down into individual coding steps and coding blocks. And you build one feature after another, and you launch it, and you get feedback, and you build on top of that, just like in the real world. So we help you guys as an entrepreneur to get your own web application live on the internet. And if you want a job seeker, we put you in a group project, so you get that real-world experience of actually building something that's really advanced and doing that as a team, just how you would do it if you join a technical team at a startup or a tech company. Now, let's talk a little bit about the support system, right? There's several different moving pieces, right? And I usually like to start at the Q&A forum. And people usually tell me, oh, come on, Mark, the Q&A forum, I get it, right? I have a question, I put it in there, I get an answer. But it's not so much about then when you're coding on a Thursday night and you get stuck that you have a place where you can get help to get unstuck. It's much more than that. It's what the forum enables you to do. And what that is like if you have a typo, a spelling error, a missing comma, that kind of stuff, we can take care of that in the forum really quickly and give you an answer usually within an hour or two. But when you come to your one-on-one mentorship sessions, you're usually error-free. And that means that in your mentorship sessions, you can really drill down on what matters rather than a mentor pointing out to you where you missed a comma and where you spelled a certain variable name wrong. We can go into writing additional software tests. We can solve that algorithm together. We can build an additional feature on top of what we're having right now. We can refactor the code and pair program with you. And that's really important because those are the times that really get you to the next level, right? So just having these short mentorship sessions where we troubleshoot, that's not helpful. What's really helpful is actually pair programming and working together with a senior mentor. Like our mentors like experience at PayPal, eBay, Yahoo, Flickr, Bitly, Product Hunt, Techstars, Y Combinator, like really great mentors, taking you under their wing and pushing you to the next level by pair programming with you. And that's what's happening in mentorship sessions. That's possible because we have the forum. That's why I always start with the forum and tell you guys why that's so important. Now, we also have office hours, right? And I love office hours because that's the time when all of our students come together and then anything goes. All kinds of questions, any questions is allowed, and we answer them. There's always mentors, sometimes we have guest mentors in the office hours, right? We see each other, it's a video conference, so we see the students see us, and we answer the questions, right? And what happens there is really interesting. It's like if you're, let's say, in week 10 already, and somebody from week 2 asks a question, oftentimes you're like, oh man, I've been exactly there at the same challenge. Let me pick that answer at a question and answer it. And that's kind of like when you can give back. Not only does that feel good, but you solidify your learning in a different kind of way. And so it's really interesting to have that experience. And also, if you're in week 2, right, and you see what people are discussing, maybe an algorithm or a more advanced feature in a web application, you're like, wow, it's a bit over my head. But you can see the path where you're going. That's really important for you to see that path, knowing this is where I'm going to be in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So mentorship sessions the office hours are really great. And then for the group project, right, during the last 4 or 5 weeks of the Firehose project, we also have agile team meetings. And that's when you come together with a team, you make sure that you hit all the checkpoints and you're actually in there with another mentor. And the mentor makes sure you guys are on track and no one steps on each other's toes. and explains to you, this is how we build a web application in an agile way. This is what happens next, and this is how we move forward, right? And the more you have that, better you get in communicating with your team and building software in a collaborative way, like it is in the real world. Amazing teams build the best software. So that's the support system that we have. We have the forum, we have the one-on-one mentorship sessions, we have the weekly video conference office hours, and then we have your agile team meetings for the group project. Now, I said in the beginning that I answer one question, but before I do that, guys, if you have any questions, right, let me know. You have the Google Plus page, you have a little box there, put your questions in there. I also ask you via the email that I send out, put your question into the email, hit reply, and ask your question. I already got a whole bunch of questions. I'm happy to go through them, but I just want to mention that one more time. I think I'm about 2-3 minutes ahead of you. That's how it works with the Google Hangouts. So if you have a question, put it in now, email me now before it's too late. Now I want to ask the one question that I always get, which is, what can I really do after I graduate, right? Obviously, if you want a job, our students landing jobs at web development teams, or people who, they're entrepreneurs, they want to build their own application, they learn the skills and they build and launch their own application together with their mentor, right? The one thing you really have is that power to create. And that's if you have an idea and you think, oh, that's something that the world needs, you can go, spend the weekend, spend a week, hack it together, build the application, ship it out, get the user feedback, and then refine your code and make it good and make it really work so people have something that they can use. And you have the power to do that. You can build web applications, launch them really fast, and you can then move on to the next level and make them really good and make them really advanced. And those are the skills that you get, that power to create and take your idea and put it live. That, to me, is one of the biggest skills that you take out of the program. All right, guys, let's see what kind of questions we have. So I'm jumping in right now, looking at the Google Plus page, and then also checking my email. So let's see what we have here. Okay, there's people like coding wildly right now on the pre-work and submitting their code challenges, which is awesome. You guys are supposed to pay attention to what I say. Love it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't know, Randy, you said something, maybe we should do this another time in the very early stages of making my decision, so just expect it to be a fly on the wall this time around. Yeah, no worries, there's multiple people in the webinar right now. Not everyone pressed the button that says, yes, I watched this. So don't worry about it, that you feel like it's only you. You can definitely be a fly on the wall. Let's see what other questions we have. Usually not, as I said, right, not everyone presses the button, so you're not by yourself. I can see there's, you're in good company. There's plenty of people watching the webinar right now. Okay, cool. Let's see what else we got. I got a few emails here. Let me go through those. All right. I guess Randy also sent me an email here. Let's see. Yeah, we're based in Boston. You say you're on the West Coast and you plan to stay there, so should you rather do boot camp in San Francisco? Okay, Randy, two big differences here, right? Since you're in the very early stages of doing the research, first of all, go to theFirehoseProject.com. In the top half, you have the Coding Bootcamp guide. Read that guide. It's not a marketing thing or anything. It just gives you like a full-on overview. There's 9 chapters of how to do the research for your bootcamp, what matters, what doesn't, what the difference is between, we're an online bootcamp, right? Everything is running online. You have a mentor that's responsible for you. And there's in-person coding bootcamps like the one you referred to that would be based in San Francisco. And those are the ones you show up in person in a classroom every single day, and you have a teacher in front of the class and usually like around 30 students. There's a huge difference between the in-person one and the online one. I personally obviously prefer the online ones because you get your mentor and you can also like keep your job while going through the bootcamp, the online bootcamp. You can't do that for the in-person one most of the time. So go again to theFirehoseProject.com, read the Coding Bootcamp guide, and that will help you a lot understand the whole process, understand what matters, what not. And we also give you a whole set of questions. We call them hard-hitting questions. You don't fall prey to a lot of marketing messages out there, and you actually know what matters, what to ask to cut straight to the core, to find a great bootcamp and find the high-quality ones. So yeah, please do that. Okay, Em asked me, okay, sorry, I can't make that. Is there a replay? Yep, Em, there is a replay, and you'll get the link later, or you can use that same link. So if you see that, glad you're watching it. Okay, there's a few other ones that I received. Let me pull them up over here. Okay, what's the application process? All right, application process, right? I kind of mentioned that earlier already. It's like we have a 15-week-long program. First 2 weeks is the FireHose intro. That's our pre-work, where we work with you guys through your coding fundamentals to make sure you're ready for the acceleration part. That's free right now. You can go to the theFirehoseProject.com, click on the Get Started button on the top nav, apply for the FireHose intro, and then we can have you code with us for 2 weeks. And usually, if you like that, you get your code reviewed, and then we accept you into the full program based on your coding challenge submissions that you do in the pre-work. So that's the application process. Again, go to theFirehoseProject.com, top nav, you find it. Let's see, what else do we have? How is the material presented? Okay, that's a good question. The material presented in several different ways. So we're having written guides, we're having video instructions, and we're having live instructions. So the video instruction, the written materials are detailed guides giving you step-by-step details on how to build web applications, learn test-driven development, learn object-oriented programming, learn inheritance, learn test-driven development, right? They're written for a really important reason, and I think it's twofold. First of all, is in the real world, coding is like, there's a lot of documentation, API integration, Rails documentation, Ruby documentation. It's always written instructions on how to do something as a developer. So going through our written guides actually teaches you how to use written documentation and learn how to apply that and get the knowledge from that, because that's what you're going to do in the real world the whole time, right? And so knowing how to do that is really helpful. And so the guides actually teach you how to use written documentation while you're going through the program. So it prepares you indirectly for the real world. The second is it's a really rich resource, right? Think about, you need to come back and look at a certain step on how to do something, how to integrate with an API. We have a lot of students, graduates, that are coming back to our platform quite frequently and actually looking things up and then using that on their job, on their work. It's like, oh, that's how I integrate with the SendGrid API again. And then they use that for their work. So having the written guides makes it a lot quicker for you to search something and find it, right? Think about how frustrating it would be having a 10-minute video and jumping back and forth and looking for that one line of code that you need to integrate with something right now. So the written guides is much closer to the real world, and it's a lot faster to search through than the video instructions is, right? We give you video instructions at the moment that you need it. So for example, we go through model view controller architecture. So that's something really important. We give you a video overview on that when it matters to you. We also cover, like as I said before, object-oriented programming. There's videos that we explain to you when that moment is right and you need that, how object-oriented programming is done. Then we also have a few other video sessions that we give to you. And there's obviously the live instruction, right? One-on-one mentorship sessions, the office hours, the agile team meetings, right? That's all live. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Let's see whatever else we have. Christine asked me, how much time during the week does it generally take? And what time of day, time zones, are office hours in general? Christine, that's a great question. Okay, so how much time do we want you to put in the program, right? So we say spend around 20 hours per week and put that into the program. So that will get you to a really great spot at the end of the program. So we have plenty of students that hold a full-time job and actually put that in and have to work through our entire curriculum that way and get everything out of it. Now there's some students who go full-time through the program. That works perfectly as well. We scale up the curriculum according to how much time you put in. But the 20-hour per week mark, that's usually what we're aiming for, so you're getting the most out of it. And you're hitting what we call that the inflection point, where you become a self-sufficient programmer. That means you're so good that you can help yourself learn additional skills forward without us holding your hand. At the 20-hour a week, you reach that fairly quickly. And the earlier you reach that, the better off you are learning. So the 20 hours a week we found is the ideal time to put in. Then there was a second question, we'll be jumping in from Christine. Okay, what time of day are the office hours in general? So 3 things, right? Mentorship sessions and group project meetings, they're really flexible. Depending on the group, we'll figure out the best time. Mentorship sessions, you figure it out directly with your mentor. The office hours, we have once a week on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you can make it, awesome. If you can't make it, we record it and you're able to submit your question afterwards, beforehand, and then we answer them so you can watch the recording afterwards. That's what we have right now. We're thinking about having more office hours to different time zones, but right now we're having people from Europe, we're having people East Coast, West Coast, we're having people all the way in Hawaii. That seems to be the best way when we can have them. Okay, Randy, how is a student matched with their mentors? That's a great question. Okay, so the matching process is actually a bit complicated, but in essence, it works like this. Rather than us giving you a few mentor bios and pictures where you can choose, right? And you're like, oh, this is a cool guy, and great bio, I want to be matched with that mentor, and letting you choose. We actually do that matching for you because we know the mentor, we know their strength, we know what they're really good at. And we know you because you already went through the pre-work, we've seen your code, we've seen the questions you asked in the forum, and we also have I have an onboarding session, or mentors have onboarding sessions with students before we do the matching. So we actually then sit down and decide who would be the best mentors based on your previous skill, how you perform, and then also what your goals are, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, we obviously want to match you with a mentor who built a lot of web applications and ship them live, right? It has that entrepreneurial spirit as well. If you want a job, we obviously want to match you with somebody who hired a lot of junior web developers before, because that person can really train you and make sure you have all the skills that you need to be employable. So Randy, I hope that answered your question. If so, give me a quick thumbs up in the comments, and that'd be awesome. Okay, what else do we have? What's the weekly time commitment? I think I just answered that. That was a good question. Why is the group project so important? Okay, group project, right? I said that. Group project matters so much because that's how coding is done in the real world. And you don't know, if you don't know as a career seeker, somebody who wants a job as a junior web developer, how to work as a team, you basically don't know how to integrate yourself in an existing team. So the first few weeks, the first 2 months, you basically, or first month at least, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to work. And that's kind of like a big ding against you in a technical interview. So not only if you know how to work as a team and overcome these obstacles of the collaborative coding experience, are you much more desirable as a candidate, but you're also in a technical interview. You can have a conversation that's so much richer because you overcame a lot of challenges that come when you work together as a team. And by working together as a team, I don't mean like on a side project or something that you do. I mean like that's the only thing that you do, and you're building something really complicated. That's why that's so important, and that's why our students are getting jobs, because they're using GitHub, for example, the way it is intended to be, not just by themselves, but with a team. And in, I call it advanced mode, pull requests, merge conflicts, right? They know how to do all that and handle all these challenges because they've gone through them, and they can speak from experience on those points in any technical interview, which shows you know what's going on and you know your stuff. So that's why the group projects are so important. Okay, let's see what else we have. What are some of your graduates doing right now? That's another question via email. Love it. Okay, there's multiple graduates, right? We have the career switchers and we have the entrepreneurs. So there's Erin, she's in New York. She was a receptionist before, now she works at Artsy, artsy.net, you can look it up. If you know what Pandora does, they map the genome of music. Artsy maps the genome of art. And I think they raised over 30 million in the last year, or 28 million or something like that. And she's there on their technical team, right? Super awesome, from front desk answering phones to actually mapping the genome of art. And she has an art history background. This was a super good match. She's got kind of a dream job, she told me, when we had an interview a while ago. Then what else? Angel, right? He sold used cars of a parking lot in LA, and he works for Sensei right now. So you can Google sensei.it, I think it is. And they're a young startup, and he's one of their lead engineers right now, lead web developers, and he builds that messaging platform out for them. So he's super happy with that. Then there's Ilya, he's in Germany, and he works for Ennonoc right now. Ennonoc is a multinational, I think it's publicly traded company, and he builds energy monitor applications for them because they're in the energy sector, and he really wanted to get in the energy sector, so that worked for him. There is multiple other students. One just got a job north of Pittsburgh, where he works in a Rails boutique consultancy, right? He does like web applications for other people, and he works together with a team. I think they're like 10 or 15 people. That's really cool. He's going to be exposed to a lot of different projects and going to learn a lot because he's basically a web development consultant there. Then there's other people who got jobs at startups and tech companies. We have an alumni page. You can look at that. theFirehoseProject.com/alumni. It's also in the site nav. If you look on the little hamburger, the 3 lines, top right, top nav, it pans out, click on alumni. Read those stories, right? Read the reviews. We link to Quora, where a lot of our alumni wrote their reviews, what their experience was. If you haven't done so, read their blog posts too. We actually link into their blog posts where they talk about the experience, what they learned, how the whole process worked, how it worked out for them, what was important, what not. I think one of the blog posts was about algorithms, why they're so important, and how to actually help somebody land a job really quickly because they knew what matters, and the technical hiring manager knew exactly that they have the skills when they tested them on their algorithmic knowledge. So that's what some of our students are doing on the job side. And then we also have the entrepreneurs, right? Always like to cite Steven. He's one of our graduates, and right now he's in Sacramento, I believe. And he built an on-demand delivery platform for medical marijuana. So you can go order your 1/8 of an ounce, and you see, similar to Uber or Lyft, you see the car, the delivery car driving on the map towards your location. You walk downstairs, you grab your little bag. The payment is already handled, right? Really cool web application that he built, and I think he has over 100 customers already after his first month. So I think he's now 3 months in, so he probably has several hundred by now. It's doing really good. He's only giving us a thumbs up every time we ask how things are going. So he's doing really well. There's obviously, we have people like from Microsoft, the head of developer operations from Indiegogo. I guess I'm wearing an Indiegogo t-shirt today. He sent me an Indiegogo t-shirt. He's going through our program right now. He's obviously a lot of background, and he enjoys and learns new things every single day. We also have like web developers with 4 or 5 years of experience going through the program, as well as people who don't have that much programming background, going through our pre-work, learning the fundamentals there, and then getting accelerated. So I think that should give you a pretty good spectrum of what we're having. People landing the jobs, who's kind of in the program, the different skill sets, and then also like the entrepreneurs, what they're launching. And think about it, if you're in a group project, right, and you get to work together with somebody who has like already 4 or 5 years of experience, that's really powerful for you because you can learn from your classmates a lot that way too. Same way, if you're more advanced and you have to work with somebody who doesn't have that much background, you become that leader and you actually get to run the group project a lot more, which is also in itself like getting the experience of leading a team. All right, let's see what else we have. Randy, another question. Man, you have a lot of questions. It's awesome. You said you're early in the stage, but you have a lot of questions. That's cool. But how many students go through the Firehose Project per session on average? Okay, so we don't really have sessions. We start new students every Monday. So there's not like a cohort, right? You don't have to wait for a few months so you start. You can start every Monday. Right now, I think we have close to 50 students in the program. Obviously, they're all at different stages, and some are graduating, and then we have new students coming in. So that's what we're looking at right now. If your question is more like, do you guys know what you're doing? Or is this just like 2, 3 students? No, it's not. We've been doing this since 2013. In the summer, we taught at Harvard Business School, Carnegie Mellon, Babson, Boston University. We taught the entire IT department. Harvard invited us back several times. Now we don't have the time anymore to go to Harvard, so we had to tell them, sorry, we can't make it anymore. So we taught in the classroom a lot, and we took the everything we learned from the classroom and put it into what we're having right now with our online experience, right? So that knowledge from like what works in the classroom and what doesn't is why the quality and why our content and the quality of our experience and why our students are so happy is so high, because we tested everything in the classroom first before we put it online. So Randy, if you want to know, do we know our stuff? Yeah, we really know our stuff, and we've tested it plenty. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Do we have another question? Here's another one. Just got that via email. What's the difference between us and competitors, right? So I think I usually say there's not really any competitors, because we're a grade above, like it's completely different what we're teaching. But there's three main reasons, right, why we're completely different class. And I think the first one is the depth of the curriculum. You're just not getting that real-world coding experience with a lot of the other coding bootcamps. You're not going to get like the algorithms. You're not going to get the test-driven development. These are key things that matter tremendously, and senior web developers will look at that. If you don't have that, you're just out. It's the bread and butter, and you're just not getting that a lot of other places, right? Group project is another thing. Knowing how to code together as a team, I say this over and over again, it's because it matters so much, is one of the most critical skill you can have. Not having that will not get you a job. You're starting at a huge disadvantage, right? It's like you want to race a car, you don't have tires. That's kind of disadvantage. It's going to be really hard for you to move that car. So group project, really important. Algorithms, the real world experience, being treated as a junior web developer from day one is what we're doing. We do code reviews with you, just like in the real world, doing the pre-work already. We give you thumbs up. We ask you to refactor code. That's what matters. That's why we're so different, because it's the real world experience that we're giving you in the bootcamp already. The other thing is our world-class mentors, right? These are not people who graduated from another bootcamp and they don't even have a job and now they mentor you. That's what I'm seeing all over. Those people actually apply to us quite a lot, and they can't solve the coding challenges that our own students are solving, which is what we ask them to do as part of the interview process. So we're really selective on our mentors, and we tell multiple mentors every single day, sorry, you're not a good fit for our program because your skills are not that high. So the mentors that we have right now is set to work for Product Hunt, Techstars companies, they're VP of engineering, they're actually assistant professors at leading universities in the United States. They have experience at PayPal, eBay, Flickr. They have TechCrunch articles written about them, right? That's the caliber of mentors that we're matching you with, and you just don't get that anywhere else. So again, depth of curriculum, that real world applications that we're building, like test-driven development, algorithms, industry best practices, building advanced web applications like a chess game, and the group project, working together, and then having these world-class mentors that you just don't even have access to at any of the other places. I think that's why we're a lot different than anything else out there. Let's see, what else do we have? Sorry guys, it's going a little over, but we got so many cool questions. I think that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. No more emails, nothing in Google group. I hope I answered everything. Good questions, Randy. I love all your questions. That's cool. I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you have any other questions, feel free, reach out to me, right? You all have my email, so email me. Apply for the Firehose intro for the pre-work so we can code with you. And you can already give us a test drive, right? We give that to you for free, no questions asked. And if you get accepted, we hope you code with us and join us in full program. Until then, thanks so much for coming. This was awesome. You guys should stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around. Take it easy.